Hare Krishna, thank you all for joining in. We'll start our discussion for today. We'll offer a prayer and we'll resume. Om Ajnanatirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Pashatai Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Rama Hare 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 Krishna. So we are on the part 2 of this topic titled as Hijack, Interaction of Mind, Intelligence and Senses, which is the third topic of the Mind Management series. I'll just do a very brief recap of what we have discussed last time, and we'll come to the subject matter of today as a part of discussion. So our discussion on this topic began with this particular verse by Arjuna. Athakena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichan api vashneya baladiva niyojitaha. Where Arjuna asked Krishna, my dear Lord, you have instructed me on the science of Karma Yoga, and you have told me performing my duty as a service to you is the best way and the easiest way of attaining a perfection in the human form of life. I totally agree. My thoughts or my doubts about renouncing going to the forest are totally vanquished now. But it has been observed, despite knowing what is right, is not always enough to compel us to do the right. Often it is experienced that we know what is right, but yet we end up doing the opposite of it. We have taken a feedback last time on this particular subject, and most of us had an experience that that's a challenge. You can close this. Has an experience that we fail to struggle with it. So Arjuna is asking, what is that force which impels me to perform an action which is against my will? And we have taken a simple case study. Let's say a smoker diagnosed with a cancer or lung infection. Paraphrasing Arjuna's inquiry in this context would be, when a smoker knows the dangers of smoking to his health, he's been diagnosed by the doctor. He has decided not to smoke again, but still he smokes and then regrets. What power forces him to do so, although he does not want to do it? In essence, the answer was lust. Krishna says, Kamesha, Krodesha, Rajaguna, Samadvaha, Mahashano, Mahapapma, Vidyanam hi, Varinam. Arjuna, it is lust born of mode of passion, which further glides down into anger. Mahashano, Mahapapma. Mahapapma forces us to perform the most abominable and sinful activities. Mahashano, Shano means destruction. Mahashano, it brings about the incredible destruction in one's life. Vidhi, to know, enam, this, iha, vairinam. Vairinam means bury, bury means enemy. Arjuna, this is our enemy. And then Lord Shri Krishna continues to explain more about this enemy known as lust, how it covers living entities according to the modes of consciousness that they have acquired. And then Krishna said, Arjuna, it is an enemy which is never satisfied. Kama rupena kaunteya dushpurena nalena cha. So two things Krishna mentioned. He is Nitya Varuna. This enemy continues life after life. And we gave an example of enemies, different gradations of enemy. One, you develop animosity on a train station. Another, somebody gives a supari on your name, which chases after you for the whole life. But this is an enemy which chases after you life after life. And life after life, this particular enemy called as karma just brings destruction to one's existence. And dushpurena nalena cha, how much ever you try to fulfill this lust, it is never fulfilled. It's just like a blazing fire, and when you try to fulfill that desire of the lust, or the lust in itself, is just like pouring petrol on the fire. It further blazes. It never gets extinguished. It only keeps on increasing in intensity, and really makes us a victim. Really makes us a victim like that. Lord Shri Krishna explained, and then we discussed from the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita that, where Krishna asked Arjuna, "Are you afraid?" Arjuna said, "Yes." And then we began our discussion. Krishna said, "You should not be afraid." Mamevamsu Jivaloka, Jivbhuta Sanatana. And then we concluded with Arjuna saying, "My dear Lord, life is fantastic. Who has seen what's going to happen after death and all that?" Krishna said, "You are a fool because you don't see that after death there is another life." And then we gave you the definition of who is a fool. Anyone remembers what was the example? What was the example of a fool? Yes? Hey, you remember? You're still saying? You're giving double response to me.
Prabhuji,
Yes, mother.
that the person was traveling in the flight and hijacked by the terrorists.
Yes. So we discussed a case of a hijacked plane and which ended up crashing. So, who was the hijacker? Whose plane was hijacked? That was an example, that was an analogy. And who was the passenger? Who was the hijacker? Who was the hijacker? Lust.
That is the mind.
The lust is the hijacker. And who's getting hijacked? I. The plane refers to the body. The soul refers to the passenger. And the lust was like a terrorist who have hijacked. And I concluded last time session with the video of 9/11 terrorist attack, where the plane crashed into the Twin Tower, like that. And that's how Nitya Varina, that's how the lust life after life keeps on destroying our life. It never allows us to be happy. It keeps us with unfulfilled desires. How much ever you try to fulfill desires, it always remains unfulfilled. In scriptures, it is said, chewing the chewed. What we are trying to do in this lifetime is not for the first time we are doing it. In fact, look at every day what we do. Every day is the same thing what we did the previous day, isn't it? We are hungry, we eat 3 times, 4 times a day. When we are hungry, when we sit on the dining table, we sit and look at the food as if we are looking for the first time. When you're hungry, particularly, you just ate it last evening or whatnot. So it's just a whole this lust. This is how it destroys. So this was a discussion until last week when we talked about it. Now a very important question: how do we defeat this enemy of lust? Now, excuse me. This question is only important when you understand that you have an enemy called as lust. So how many of you find is a question which needs to be addressed right now, right away? This is the greatest threat to our existence. Yes or no? You have to raise your hand, huh? I'm a proactive teacher. I like my students to be a little active so that you stay alert and awake. That's the biggest problem in today's world, to keep our students awake. Okay. So, all right. Let's take a look now on the subject matter of repeating lust. Coming back to the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, from verses 40 to 43, Lord Shri Krishna talks about how you can defeat lust. And he gives a 3-step formula for it. The very first step formula, Lord Shri Krishna talks about, if you have to fight out your enemy, what do you need to know? Where is my enemy? First of all, you need to know who is the enemy. That is already established. The next thing is, where is the enemy? Just like terrorists, they have their hideouts. Now you need to figure out where is the hideout. So very first thing Lord Shri Krishna addresses now, defeating lust, is he identifies, he discloses the hideouts of lust. Did we talk about the 15th August terrorist attack? Oh, okay, don't get scared, huh? This is not a news. This is a hypothetical story. I am not doing a breaking news now. Okay. I'm sorry. I keep speaking now, so I got confused. I spoke to all of you or not. Okay. So remember last time I said we are on a journey. Let's be on a journey, and we started our journey last time sitting on the chariot of Arjuna, listening to the conversation between Arjuna and Krishna, and then I took you on a plane. For you, it didn't crash, but unfortunately, it was supposed to be crashed, So we came back. Here, we'll again take you on a journey. So you have to have your imagination power going on. So when I tell you, we'll get into the action. So let's take a look at it. What does Krishna says? Indriyani mano buddhi. थोड़ा जोश से बोलो, लगेगा कि पता चलेगा कि भगवान को ये सॉल्यूशन सुनने के लिए बैठे हैं. भगवान भी निराश होंगे तुम्हारी आलसपन को देखकर. With enthusiasm speak. Indriyani mano buddhir.
Indriyani mano buddhir.
Asya dhishthanam uchyate.
Asya dhishthanam uchyate.
Ete vimohati esha.
Eter vimohati esha.
Jnanam avratya dehinam.
Jnanam avritya dehinam.
Here Lord Shri Krishna explains the lust, the hideouts of lust, the three sitting places. Before I reveal Krishna's answer, what he says, let me take you on a journey again. Imagine 4 days from now, imagine, quote unquote, Imagine 4 days from now is 15th of August, Independence Day celebration. And you are the chief of Delhi Police, in charge for securing the whole Independence Day parade and the festival. That's your responsibility. You have just concluded the meeting where you have reviewed the final arrangements and you're totally satisfied. This is going to be a sure, short, peaceful Independence Day celebration. We have got a perfect security, nothing going to happen. It's around 7 o'clock. You're sitting at your office and suddenly your landline phone rings. They still have that caller ID, right? And you look at the caller ID, and when you look at the code from which the phone is coming, you identified the phone is coming from Karachi. Karachi. You lift the phone. As soon as you lift the phone, the voice comes from the other side. आ रहे हैं हम उड़ाने के लिए तुम्हारा रेड फोर्ट. बचा सकते हो तो बचा लो. लाइन डिस्कनेक्टेड. अभी हंस रहे हो, तब हंसोगे नहीं. अभी सपने में तो हंसी आ रही है, बट रियल लाइफ सिचुएशन में पसीने आते. नो प्रॉब्लम. सो देयर इज नो प्रॉब्लम टू हैव अ ह्यूमर. ऑलराइट. सो स्ट्रेस्ड आउट. नंबर भी कराची का है. इतिहास गवाह है. So we cannot take it lightly. You're like, oh no, what to do? It's a big responsibility. The whole political arena would be there. So many dignitaries would be there. We are okay to take care of some local things, but this is terrorists. We're not equipped with taking care of terrorists when there is already planned terrorist attack. You munch, you think more on it, and then you decide, not my cup of tea. Let me hand it over to the chief of the army. And you take the whole security responsibility, hand it to the chief of the army. He says, oh, that's all right. It's just, everyday affair for us. We'll take care of it. So chief of the army comes 3 days before, takes the whole charge of the security of the Red Fort on the occasion of Independence Day of India. And then he plans out the security model for the Red Fort. And he decides, or comes with a security model where there would be 3 checkpoints before the person gets entry into the inner parameter where the program happens. So there will be a 3 level of checking. The very first level of checking would be, the security gate. Metal detector. The first level will be a metal detector. Second would be a frisking, where the security person would personally frisk you. Will check you from top to bottom, will open your luggage and see. And the third gate, brigadier would be sitting. And he will looking at you, reviewing your Aadhaar ID and verifying all your information. Then it is up to him to decide to allow you or not to allow you. So what do you think about it? It's a good security? You got metal detector up front to detect any bombs, any guns, any weapons. Second level of security, you're personally frisked if in case you still manage to bring in any weapon, anything. And the third is the brigadier looks back into your whole profile and everything. So now, how many of you agree this is a good security? Give me a thumbs up. If I get to know if there is a breaking news on the news channel, there's a security risk, but our security personnel have made a 3-tier solution, you feel we can manage it. We have confidence on this. Great. 15th August morning. You are now going to attend the Independence Day celebration. A man with a big beard, wearing a dark clothes, holding a briefcase, red short eyes, is walking towards the security gate. Looks highly doubtful. Having a big briefcase in his hand. Abhi, you are coming for what? Office meeting or what? Why do you need to bring your briefcase? Isn't it? Dal mein kala, dali kali hai to. So he's bringing a big big briefcase with him, and he walks to the first gate. Now there's a metal detector. As soon as he reaches to the first gate, the security personnel who's standing beside the metal detector, this guy blinks at him. आँख मारता है, हिंदी में कहता है ना, आँख मारता है, और जैसे ही आँख मारता है, the security personnel switches off the metal detector. Oh. Level 1 security bypassed. Now this man, highly suspicious, is walking freely, confidently towards the second gate. He reaches to the second gate. Second gate security was, you're going to get frisked. The security person comes, checks all over, then he says, all right, what is in the briefcase? Open the briefcase. Tension rising. He's worried. I open the briefcase. He's saying, no, there's nothing much in the briefcase. Why are you worried about it? I just brought some presents, some gifts for the kids. I'm from UNICEF. He says, no, you're not allowed to enter. I want to see. Open the briefcase. The tension is building up. Finally, this man opens the briefcase, and the security guard is shocked. There are 3 big bombs in it. And the security guard looks at that terrorist and says, अरे तेरे को तो 5 लाने को बोला था, 3 ही लेकर आया. And the terrorist says, क्या करें भाई साहब? But not भाई साहब, that Hindi word हो गया. Whatever the other word is. क्या करें? Border पे बहुत security tight हो गई. There's a very tight security on the border. What to do about it? I could only smuggle 3 bombs. So fine. Your second level security is bypassed. The second level security guard is also along with the terrorists. So now the second level security is passed. Your terrorist walking with the bomb. He comes to the third level, the final security gate where the brigadier is sitting. He checks with the Aadhaar card, every details. And finally, brigadier tells the terrorist, all right, you got 3 bombs, no problem. Put it in terminal 1, terminal 2, terminal 3. That will be enough for this year. Nitai Gaur Haribol. That is your Independence Day celebration. Terrorist attack is successful. Why? Because all the 3 gates were compromised. Similarly, for our protection and defense against the offense of the lust, Krishna has created a 3-level security model. Unfortunately, अपने ही बिक गए हैं. हिंदी में कहते हैं ना, our own are sold out to this terrorist called as lust. And what are those who got sold out to lust? Krishna explains in this verse. The senses, the mind, and intelligence, all 3 are the sitting places of the lust. All 3 of them have been compromised by the lust. Therefore, any lustful thought comes, it just passes through without discrimination, obstruction, right up to the intelligence. Intelligence says, do it. Because in senses, mind, intelligence is the brigadier, decision maker, and that brings a destruction. And that's how people, you'll see those who have bad habits, sinful habits, for them to do sinful activities, it's just so natural. Example, let's say a habitual thief. You may call him a kleptomaniac. A thief, he would not even think about stealing it. He would just steal it. He gets an opportunity, the desire comes, I should do it. And the desire goes through without any second thought about the consequences, what will happen, not through the senses of mind. Intelligence says, do it and do it. And that holds true for any, even for actual terrorists also, who is out there to kill innocent civilians. Because they have got, the senses, mind, intelligence have gone, has become subjugated or has become compromised by this enemy called as lust. So these are the sitting places. So if we need to defend ourselves, we need to start with an offense. And our offense is not outside of us. That offense has to happen towards our senses, mind, and intelligence. Now, what is an offense? Offense in the sense offensive. I'm saying, to react, to attack. Where do we have to attack? We'll talk about it. Is it making sense? Is it clear? Where the sitting place is of lust? All right. Next. Prabhupada writes something interesting. The enemy has captured different strategic positions in the body of the conditioned soul, and therefore Lord Krishna is giving hints to these places so that one who wants to conquer the enemy may know where can I be, find out. Now, so the battle plan, the very first thing, identify the hideouts, and the hideouts of lust are senses, mind, and intelligence. At least we know where the enemy is. Next, 41st verse, Krishna says, Tasmatvam indriyani adau. Boliye.
Indriyani ado.
No, I made it wrong. Tasmatvam indriyani
Tvam indriyani
adau niyamya bharatashabha
Adau niyamya bharatarshubha
papamanam prajahi enam
Papamanam prajahiyenam
jnana vijnana nashanam.
Jnana vijnana nashanam.
So, Krishna says, O Arjuna, best of the Bharatas, in the very beginning, curb this greatest symbol of sin, lust, by regulating the senses and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. So what is the second point of the three-step formula is to regulate the senses. It is far easy to restrict this enemy of lust at the gates of senses than at the gate of mind and intelligence. For example, Gandhiji said, Bura mat dekho, Bura mat bolo, Bura mat suno. You can decide not to engage in it, right? But what goes inside is beyond your control. Therefore, there are rules and regulations in scriptures pertaining to sense control. There are regulations. Wake up in the morning is for good for health and good for mind. Fast on the days of Ekadashi, because then you regulate your eating habit. They're different. So these are the prescription. This helps us become more regulated, more control, and it gives us the opportunity to take control of our senses in our hand. Otherwise, it's not. So many times people get worried, in various scriptures, there are so many rules and regulation. Why it has to be so stringent? Because nobody will tell you about the real enemy. People just pamper you. You accept so and so, you'll be delivered. It doesn't happen like that. Life is not so simple like that. We have to fight out our battle. And Krishna is talking about that. Do it. Rise up to the occasion. So therefore, there are niyams, there are regulations that we should abide by. And why we are not abiding? Because the mind and intelligence do not let us do. Therefore, we have to follow Guru Sadhu Shastra. Nowhere scripture says follow your mind. Scripture says follow Guru Sadhu and Shastra, That is a way of defeating the enemy, defeating our mind and intelligence. So that's the first thing. Regulate the senses, because it is the easiest. So let's try to understand the relationship now between intelligence, mind, and senses. Krishna says in 42nd verse, please repeat, Indriyani parani ahur.
Indriyani pararahur.
Indriyabhya param manaha.
Indriyebhya param manah.
Manasastu parabuddhe.
Manasastu parabuddhir.
Yo buddhe paratastu sa.
Yo buddhe paratastuha.
So translation, anyone online would like to read, unmute yourself and please read it out.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, may I?
Yes, please say out your name so I know who's speaking and you may read out.
Yes, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I'm Ritika from Chandigarh. I'm reading the description.
Yes, mother.
The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. And the soul is even higher than the intelligence.
So we said one of the subtopic of hijack was understanding the interactions of intelligence, mind, and senses. So Krishna says the dull matter, the body, the working senses are higher. Mind is more higher than the senses. Intelligence is greater than that. And the highest above all that is soul. So let's try to understand this whole relationship. We'll do a quick analysis back on the slide. Yeah, analysis of mind, intelligence, and senses. So give me a quick second. Let me open my whiteboard here. And we'll do some drawing right now to help you understand this. Okay, so let's take a look back on the whiteboard. I mean blackboard. Hijack is the topic. And we are now discussing about interaction between intelligence, mind, and senses. So let's start with intelligence. I-N-T. Then we have, let's say, I'll draw it here. We have mind. Krishna says intelligence is greater than mind. And then we have senses. The senses are of two kinds: knowledge acquiring senses and working senses. So knowledge acquiring senses, I'll call them K, A, S. And then there is working senses. Let's draw a relationship between them. So knowledge acquiring senses gives input to the mind. So what is knowledge acquiring senses? They are of 5 kinds. Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and sense of touch. All right. Then we have 5 working senses. What are the 5 working senses? Hands, feet, anus, genital, or anus or rectum, whatever, and tongue. We perform actions with it, right? Through which actions are performed. We interact with the outside world. Yeah, knowledge, you take it, taste. And with knowledge and tongue, you vibrate and speak. So that's how knowledge acquiring working senses. So working senses, these are the output. And these are input. And what we have here is sense objects with which they all interact. So this is our sense objects. Making sense? This is your analysis, technical analysis of the subject matter. From sense objects, input comes, and to sense objects, they interact. Knowledge acquiring and working senses. Mind. And then we have intelligence and mind. Intelligence is the master. So when mind wants anything, it sends instruction to intelligence. And then intelligence passes its decision on which mind acts. So intelligence is said to be master. So what is mind? Mind is a cluster of thoughts, we can call thinking, feelings, and experience. You can also call unfulfilled desires. Same thing, experiences, unfulfilled desires, like that. That's your mind. And this mind is infected by 6 enemies. We all know that. Lust, anger, greed, envy, pride, and illusion. Fine? Like this. So this is your intelligence, mind, and senses. Now let me take you on a journey again to another case study. Imagine you're walking, let's say Hinjawadi Chowk, or let's say Megapolis Chowk, whatever you call it. Right at the corner of the street is your favorite sweet shop, Mittu Lal Mithai Wala. Okay? Your favorite sweet shop. And you would have seen the sweet shop, the counters, they have the sweets to tempt you. So there is on the corner of the street, there is a Mittu Lal Mithai Wala. So your sweets are kept there. So sweets are your sense objects. Agreed? And there you see gulab jamun. Imagine it happens to be your favorite sweet. So your eyes fall onto the, or let's say gulab jamun. Input goes through the eyes. Eye sees it. Is the working senses, comes from here. This input comes from here, goes up to mind. And mind looks at it and analyzes it based on previous experiences. You have to be alert to understand this high-end technology which is within you inbuilt. The mind looks at it and analyzes. What is this object I'm looking at it? Because eyes does not have knowledge. Mind has past experiences, so analyzes. He says, oh, looking at the texture and color looks like gulab jamun. And then he knocks on the door of unfulfilled desires. Is there a pending desire to be fulfilled? And then there comes out to be big yes. Oh, I so much want to have gulab jamun. Now, decision maker is not the mind. So mind understands I have an unfulfilled desire, and mind is always unfulfilled, as we discussed. Duspurena nalena cha. Then mind sends the message back to intelligence. Master, what should I do? Intelligence is the decision maker. Intelligence says, well, first of all, find out what is the cost of it. If you want to have it, if there is unfulfilled desire, you need to purchase it. Do you have enough money? So what you have to do? You have to find out the cost of it. Message comes back to mind. Mind activates the working sense. Which working sense will get activated? No. Which will get activated? The feet. The feet will take you to the shop, na? Right? The shop is at a distance. The feet will get activated. Feet will take you to the shop. And there again your eyes becomes activated and there is a price tag. 25 rupees ka gulab jamun. The message goes back to the mind. Mind analyzes the past experience. महंगाई बहुत बढ़ गई है. डबल GST. 6 महीने पहले तो 15 रुपए का था. 25 रुपए का कर दिया है. And the message goes back to the mind, intelligence again. What should I do? I want to have it. Intelligence says, okay, fine, the cost has increased. First of all, you have to see how much money you have in your wallet. So again, instruction comes to mind, mind sends to working sense. Which working sense will get activated now? The hands. Hands will get activated, goes into the wallet, wallet opens, and now which sense get activated? The eyes. Be active, guys. Eyes. Now, knowledge acquiring, na? The eyes will calculate how much money, and the message goes back. Apparently, turns out to be you have 70 rupees in your pocket. Message goes to the mind. The mind analyzes, oh, 70 rupees I have. It will take 50 rupees, or let's say 40 rupees for me to go to my home by bus. And I'm remaining with 30 rupees balance. There is an opportunity. The message goes to intelligence. Boss, what should I do? 40 का टिकट, 30 बफर में, 25 का गुलाब जामुन, 5 रुपए तो अभी भी बच रहे हैं. What should I do? Intelligence says, महंगा हो गया है, एक खा ले. No problem. So again, intelligence goes to the mind. Intelligence sends instruction to mind. Now mind activates working sense. Which working sense will get activated now? अरे कैसे पिकअप ले? Tongue. Order. मुझे एक गुलाब जामुन खाने को दो. अरे ऐसा पहले बाद में स्टेप बाय स्टेप. So your tongue will vibrate. मुझे एक गुलाब जामुन खाने को दो. And then your working sense, hands get activated, you pay him the Lakshmi, you get your gulab jamun in hand, and now there are multiple knowledge acquiring senses getting activated now. Yes or no? You have your gulab jamun in hand. Which all knowledge acquiring senses will get activated? The eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, and the sense of touch. All 5 are drowning into the liquid of juice. And now you pick it up. Again, now, sense of touch. You pick it up, put it into your, that's a working sense. Hands get activated, put it into your mouth, and then you eat it, and you say, it's fantastic. You go back home, and next day again you come, and you again say, Mitulal Mithai Wala, and again you say, oh, Gulab Jamun, I have an unfulfilled desire. And that is the unending cycle of your unfulfilled desire. How many of you agree you have experienced this repetitive pattern? I fulfill it, again I go back, and again it says, I have a unfulfilled desire, and it keeps on going like this again and again. Is that making sense? Bolo Bhagavad Gita ki. Such a glory, such a deep analysis Bhagavad Gita has given to us. Alright, so this was a brief this thing. Let's go back to our presentation again. And people call Bhagavad Gita to be a religious text. Of course it is, but it is more than that. All right, going back to the presentation. Back. So this was analysis of mind, intelligence, senses. We saw how intelligence, mind, and senses work in conjunction. Senses is the first gate. Then mind, and then intelligence. Hare Krishna. Nothing going to happen. Stay alert. Such a little distraction, you're getting distracted. Imagine what all goes in your mind. Stay focused, okay? Don't give it up. So this is the diagram we just drew in front of all of you, and this was a Mitulal Mithai Wala. Sorry, I didn't have a photo of Gulab Jamun, so we do have some pedas up here, whatever it is. So this is the point. So the nature of sense gratification is such that you can never be satisfied, and another hankering develops, and that remains always a unfulfilled desire. But what does Krishna says about sense pleasures? Krishna says sense pleasures are temporary. Say it out loudly after me. Ye hi sansparshaja bhoga dukha yonya evate
दुःखयोनय एव ते
adiyantavant kaunteya
आदियन्तवन्त कौन्तेय
nate shuramate buddha.
नातेषु रमते बुधा.
Krishna says ye hi samsparsh ja bhoga. What it does, dukha yoni evate, it only gives birth to dukha. That's all. It is our illusion that we think will be happy. Only dukha, not maybe, not if. Only dukha. Why dukha? Adi antavanta kaunteya. Adi means it has a beginning. Antavanta, it has an end. It is temporary. Because the pleasure of that gulab jamun would not remain forever with you. Because it cannot remain forever, the hankering will come back again. Adi antavanta kaunteya na teshu Ramate buddha. जो intelligent लोग होते हैं बुधाहा, बुद्धिमान people, na teshu ramate. Therefore, they do not enjoy such temporary sense pleasures. Once again, we need to align our life according to Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. If we want to defeat the enemy of lust, there is no alternative because our senses, mind, intelligence all are already compromised. Just like we are so cautious about drinking water when we are traveling in a train, when we get on at a station, none of us over here would drink a tap water, yes or no? So how much sensitive and cautious we should be, what inputs we are feeding through our senses. That is the point here. Okay, so that was the second point. Control it at the level of senses itself. Therefore, in Vedic traditions, or the simple living, high thinking is recommended. Therefore, we kind of is an injunction that you should not watch TV and movies because it's just so fiction and very hypothetical stories, and which further agitates the mind. If you have ever seen any Hollywood, Bollywood movie, every boy and girl would reflect or would watch a movie as if that is he or she is the heroine or heroine in the movie, right? We get caught up like that. Nobody while watching the movie compares himself with the villain. Right or no? The lady will think I am the heroine, the boy will think I am the hero. They come back and they try to imitate that kind of life, do those kind of activities. It's just abominable that way. So we don't live in a life or imaginary world. We live in a real life situation. So that was the second plan, restricted at the level of senses. Now you know why we have to do it. It's easy. Third, the 3-point formula. The third is knowledge. Arjuna, Jnana and Vijnana is a food for the soul. Strengthen the intelligence by hearing, reading, discussing and applying Shastra. So Lord Shri Krishna recommends cultivating spiritual knowledge. Cultivating spiritual knowledge means to attend programs like what we have been organizing frequently, almost on everyday basis. Every day we should read and hear Shastras. Through that our intelligence becomes powerful. Our intelligence gets purified. Intelligence has a function of discrimination. How do you discriminate? To be able to discriminate, you need to know what is right, what is wrong, yes or no? If you don't have that knowledge only, how would you discriminate? And what is the source of our knowledge so far we have? Our source of knowledge is the textbook. The source of knowledge is media, social media, the news, or what we have heard from our parents, hear and say and whatnot. And most of it is wrong. If whatever we have learned so far is already wrong, how can I make a right decision? How can I make a right decision? And when you're about to make a right decision, all those wrong people would go against you. So there is always a tug of war when somebody takes to the spiritual path. People think, oh, he's becoming distracted. This is not the life to do it, as if they have lived a wonderful life. बेटा, बूढ़े हो जाओगे तब भक्ति करना. आप बूढ़े हो गए हो, आप कब शुरू करोगे? That question they never want to address or answer like that. So we have to, first of all, we have to understand who is our genuine well-wisher. Once again, it is Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. So to sum up this 3-step formula, to make it on a more practical sense, the 3-step formula was to identify the hideouts, senses, mind, intelligence. Second was restricted senses. And third was cultivate spiritual knowledge. How do we apply it practically? So to apply it practically, this 3-step formula, we can see it in the sense of 4-step formula, which is nothing but very simple. Repeat after me, A, B, C, D formula. We are taking you back to pre-KG. Not pre-KG, what do you call as? Kindergarten, or wherever you learn ABCD. I don't know what class it is. So we are taking you back to your kindergarten days, whatever you want to call it. Okay? So what is this ABCD formula? So this is what we have to do on everyday basis. Association of saintly people is what A stands for. Association of sadhus, association of saintly people. To give you a simple example, Srila Prabhupada was flying from one particular city to another, and there was an air hostess. Of course, there's an air hostess in the plane. She met Srila Prabhupada, and she was so impressed that during the course of discussion, Srila Prabhupada gifted her a copy of Bhagavad Gita, and she took a copy of Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada went his way, she went her way. 25-30 years later, one of our devotees was traveling in Mexico, his car broke down, and he went to the nearby place to find some help. He knocked on the door. It was a small village. He knocked on the door. One lady opened the door, who was almost in a 50, 60 like that. And he said, I need a help. My car has broke down. I'm new to this place. Can you please help me? Oh, why don't you open the gate and get rid of it? Kya chal rahi hai? Why so? Somebody is sitting here like a honey. And the attractor of honey. Just make sure there is not many outside. Otherwise, we'll have to leave this place. Anyways, they'll not come. They're more attracted to the self-effulgent light. Not gonna come to us that way. Okay, all right. But ये आया कहाँ से? कहीं ना कहीं दरवाजा खुला होगा. Then not so many of these can come inside. Was opened. Oh, okay. Fine. ठीक है. I know, yes. Focus. These are very small little distractions. In our mind, we have hundreds and thousands of bees humming. If you ever sit down for meditation, you will experience that. So many humming sound comes. Okay, so this man met this lady. She said, okay, sir, why don't you come inside? I'll give you some water. And this is back in around 90s. So I said, we'll call up some, mechanic in a nearby. He didn't have a phone also. There was no mobile phones those days. So when he entered the house, he was shocked. It was a one-room house. And there was an altar of Shri Radha and Krishna in Mexico. Entirely foreign culture. And there was a photo of Srila Prabhupada and the Prabhupada books. This man was so surprised. He was a devotee himself, wearing a Western outfit. So she couldn't realize. And he said, oh, you know Krishna? You know Radha? You know Srila Prabhupada? She said, yes. He said, how do you know? Are there any devotees here? She said, no. I have never met any devotees. He said, never met devotees? She said, yes. So what do you do? She said, I chant 16 rounds. I follow 4 eggs. I eat vegetarian diet. I offer every day whatever I cook to Krishna. So he said, how did you got to know about Krishna? She said, I was an air hostess. The air hostess that I said in the beginning. And I met Srila Prabhupada. One meeting, one interaction, Prabhupada gave a copy of Bhagavad Gita. Her life was transformed. That's the power. So we should always yearn and long for this opportunity, never miss out. Never underestimate. B, for reading wisdom literatures, what all can be said about Srila Prabhupada books. They're so potent. There was a medical conference going on in New York, and some Bhutanese doctors were there. So our devotee was doing book distribution outside that medical conference. So Bhutan, these all are Buddhists. So this one devotee went and said, see, this is the word of God spoken by Buddha. That was Bhagavad Gita. So Buddha is the incarnation of Krishna. So he said, see, I have got a word of God, word of Buddha. Please take it. So this man thought, oh really, word of Buddha? Why not? I'm a Buddhist, I'll take it. He picked it up. That was a Bhagavad Gita. And unfortunately, what had happened, in a hurry, he ended up giving him, rather than an English copy of Bhagavad Gita, he ended up giving him Hindi copy of Bhagavad Gita. Medical conference ended, he came back to Bhutan, and when he got an opportunity to open a book, he realized it's a Hindi language, not my native language, not even an English language. He had a Hindu friend living in Bhutan. And he thought, why don't I give it a copy of Bhagavad Gita to him? He gave a copy of Bhagavad Gita to him. And that man became a devotee. And that's how first ISKCON center and temple came in Bhutan. From one Prabhupada book, traveling from New York to Bhutan. Hare Krishna. What all can be? I'm just giving one very simple example as time is running short. There are many examples. C, for chanting mantra or chanting Hare Krishna. That is what it means by C, for chanting. How many of us here are chanting actually? Okay. तो हाथ डाउट हो रहा है क्या? तो ऐसे घबराते हाथ उठा रहे हो? How many of us are chanting? Raise your hands high up. Okay. And how many of us are chanting online? Let's interact a little bit with our online audience. So please don't miss it out. The very first thing you have to start doing is chanting, and I'll tell you why and how it's going to help us defeat the lust in a short while. And then the D stands for diet, D for diet, which means Krishna Prasadam. Point is, if we all regularly, on the everyday basis, practice this A, B, C, D formula, then in a short time we'll defeat this enemy of lust, which is otherwise impossible to overcome on our strength. It does not matter what we were or what we did in the past. What matters is the choice that you and I will make today. If we become determined to practice this ABCD formula, just this ABCD formula, which is so wonderful experience, who doesn't love Krishna Prasadam? Chanting of holy names of the Lord, Kirtans are so sweet and melodious. Reading wisdom literatures like Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, Mahabharata gives joy, gives you wisdom, gives you the ability to make right decision in life, set up a right role model for you. An association, such a fantastic association of good saintly people. Where would you get it? So why shouldn't we associate? So it just brings joy to our life. We should put our mind aside and just do it. Just like Nike says, just do it. So just do it. Don't think. Overthinking will kill us. Now, how this ABCD formula really defeats the 3-step? How does that? Let's talk about intelligence. What purifies intelligence is B, reading Vedic wisdom literatures. Because intelligence gets purified by knowledge, transcendental knowledge. How we acquire knowledge is through sadhu sangha, through hearing and through reading. So A and B helps purify intelligence. Making sense? Now, mind. How does mind get purified? Mind gets purified by C, chanting. By chanting mantra meditation, mantrayate. Mantra means which delivers you from your mind, which means which stops the thinking process of the mind. Makes it complete peaceful. So mind gets delivered by mantra, that is chanting. How does senses get purified? By preparing Krishna Prasada, by doing physical service, cutting vegetables, preparing bhoga, offering bhoga to the Lord, and then honoring it. By that, your touch, your eyes, your nose, your tongue, all acquiring the food, gets purified. So like that, this 3-step formula can be applied in practical life through ABCD formula given by Srila Prabhupada. Or you can also call D for devotional service. Take up devotional service like distributing books. Many other options are there which we can take it. With this, we come to the conclusion of our today's topic titled as Hijack, Defeating Lust. And we also discussed about the interaction of mind, intelligence and senses through the example of Mithulal Mithaiwala. And the 3-step formula, while talking about regulate or restrict the enemy of lust at the senses, we gave an example, not that, where the hideouts, to explain you the hideout example, I gave you the example of the terrorist attack at during Independence Day. So next week when we meet, we'll be coming to our 4th topic of mind management course, titled as Making Habits and Breaking Habits. When I say making habits is making good habits. When I say breaking habits means breaking bad habits. So, if I would write the whole thing, it would have taken a big. So I just wrote making habits and breaking habits, which is self-explanatory. With that, thank you all for your kind attention. We pause it here for today. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki Hare Krishna.